to Love Shouldn't Hurt. I'm your host, Hilary Platt. On this show, we talk about related topics for domestic abuse. I'm very happy to have a guest today. Can you guess who she is? It's my daughter, Jacqueline Platt, and we're here to talk about a very important subject. We're here to talk about domestic abuse and how it's unique onto college campuses. So welcome, Jacqueline.
Thank you.
You're welcome. First thing I want to ask Jacqueline is, can you tell me what you think a domestic abuse is when someone says that to you? Or maybe not so much domestic abuse, but abuse in general, dating abuse, something like that.
Well, being your daughter, I am decently versed on this. Domestic abuse can be anywhere from physical violence to emotional distress to even electronic digital harassment.
Right, very good. And also don't forget sexual abuse.
Right.
Right. So do you know who this affects on college campuses?
I know a lot of the times it is women, as in normal statistics, but also men can be victims.
That's right, very good. And we have to remember that there's more men in the statistics now because people are being more upfront with same-sex relationships. And a relationship is a relationship. It doesn't matter the dynamics if it's the same gender. In addition to that, which a lot of people don't know, so parents listen up and college kids too, domestic abuse, under the domestic abuse law, is included roommates and included dorm mates. So if you have a roommate who you don't have a romantic relationship with, but that roommate is harassing you, abusing you, if you feel like you're not safe because of actions that roommate did, you can get a restraining order, you can get help. If you just live in the same dorm, that is also the same law pertains. So I know a lot of people don't realize that.
Right, and it's very important because you need to feel safe in your home where you're living,
right.
And this is where you're going to be living for the next 4 years.
That's right, and subconsciously I do say to you when you're going home.
Right.
Because I do feel like it's your second home.
I say it too.
Yeah. So I wanted to go over a couple facts. 1 in 5 college women will be victims of sexual assault. 1 in 5. That's a tremendous amount, and we're hoping that the more we talk about sexual assault, the more we talk about the red flags and prevention, hopefully this number will go down. 90% of sexual assaults are not stranger rape. And this is very important because you want to not have a false sense of security when you're with someone that you know, because that is more the percentage of, unfortunately, having an attack. It's not the stranger in the middle of the night with the mask on, which is like why we stopped saying stranger danger to our little kids, because it's not really the stranger, it's usually someone you know.
Right, especially on college campuses when it's a limited community of people. You're seeing these people usually every day, and it's very often that you know them.
Right. And then another percentage I want to talk about is less than 5% of sexual assaults or attempted assaults will be reported. So I said that in one of my teen classes, and the teenager said to me, I don't understand. If it's not reported, how do you know the percentage?
I actually asked that to you also.
Right.
And you told me that it's because doctors and healthcare professionals are required to report it, but not to the police.
That's right, it remains anonymous, so it's a statistic, but you don't have to report it.
Right.
And also what I was telling Jacqueline about is it's so important to be educated, because let's say you might, unfortunately, yourself or a friend have experienced a sexual assault. And perhaps that person or you don't want to report it. That is completely up to you, and nobody should be forced to report anything, because our school of thought is then you're just as bad as the abuser because you're forcing that person to do something they don't want to do. And you have to let the victim regain their control. However, certain things that you should know about, certain knowledge is really important. For instance, you might opt to do a rape kit, and there are special nurses that will hold your hand and provide you advocacy through the entire experience. No, it won't be pleasant, but that rape kit can be put aside for 3 months. So if you change your mind in a month or two and you decide you do want to go forward and prosecute, you have the evidence. If you've decided that night that you want nothing to do with it and you don't go forward and collect the evidence, then 2 months later, if you change your mind, there's not much you can do criminally to the person if you don't have evidence. So it's just important to have those resources and those options available to let people know. You and I were talking, I was telling you that what I would love to do is have students trained as advocates on campus. So if, God forbid, something happens, they can come student to student, they can advocate, and they can tell them their options and with someone that they feel comfortable with.
Right, which is really important because you don't want to feel like it's better to have somebody on your same level, another student, to help you instead of going to an authority figure. It's just easier to talk to other students, and it's easier to get guidance, especially if they're trained in this way.
Right. Now, I know we're going a little off of what I wanted to talk about, but since you mentioned that, didn't you say something like CAPS? What's CAPS?
Yes, at my school there's a program called CAPS. And
Jacqueline goes to Rutgers, New Brunswick.
And it's where you can go and you can talk to people. They can be students or therapists, and it's free, and you get to go and make an appointment, and you can talk on the phone, you can go to the actual office, and they provide you advice, they give you tools to use to help you in any situation. It can be you're feeling stressed, it can be suicide prevention, and it can be domestic violence. So these people are there for you, and it's great. There's posters everywhere in all the dorms, in many of the residence halls, to show you where you can go if you need help.
And I have noticed that when we went looking at dorms, that in all the dorms in the common areas, they have hotlines posted, they have sort of quiz questions posted that you need to ask yourself if you're in a healthy relationship. Do you feel safe? Do you feel like this person is jealous a lot? You know, different questions. And depending on how you answer, they'll say, well, maybe that's a red flag and you should, talk to a peer advocate or a hotline.
Right.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you about what you think is going on in the media right now about Penn State.
Right. One of their fraternities was found that they had a Facebook page with a bunch of nude pictures of girls that they were either passed out
Right.
or they were taken without their knowledge. And people were going on this Facebook page and being able to look at all these pictures. I know the university has suspended them for a year and they've lost their housing. Social media is huge now, and it's huge because everybody has access to it, and it's so often that you have a phone, you have a camera on your phone.
Right.
Just take a picture and no one would be the wiser.
I do want to say, though, according to the ABC News, it's Kappa Delta Rho, and the police said that whoever posted the photos, they could face misdemeanor charges of harassment or invasion of privacy. Unfortunately, I feel like the penalty is not enough because it's really just a fine and it's not jail time, but it's a good start. I was telling Jacqueline that under the laws of sexting, there's if you're 18 or younger, it's easier to arrest somebody because it could be child pornography, it could be trafficking pornography, especially when you put it up on Facebook, you're crossing state lines, so then it becomes a federal offense. But once you get into college and you're older, it's harder to prove. It's harder to prove harassment with texting and with stalking. You have to prove intent to harass, but this is really an obvious case. So I'm really glad that they're pushing forward. And the head of Penn State was no bones about it. He's like, I'm not having meetings to have meetings. The fraternity's getting kicked off campus. So it's good that they're having harsh consequences.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and that's scary. It's scary to think that especially when alcohol or drugs is involved, if you pass out or even if you're asleep, you're very vulnerable. You could be with someone who you think you trust, and then all of a sudden there are pictures of you on a private Facebook page, and once those pictures are out there, it's very, very difficult to get them down. You can get the local prosecutor's office involved, and they will scan the internet for the local websites that they know these pictures are on, but it's very difficult to scrub them off completely. And even if, just so you know, if you're a fellow student and you see a picture of someone, if you put it on your computer and then you erase it from, let's say, your cell phone, putting it on your computer is the same thing as putting it out there on the internet. And you will be subject to the same laws.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's also why I try to go to all the teens before they go to school and educate them on all these. You can hear a pin drop when I talk about the sexting and all that in the schools.
Right, because it gets serious.
Yeah, even you were saying that there was a lot of that going on in high school.
Yeah.
So I want to talk more about why college is unique. We talked about social media. We talked about Penn State. You were telling me about Tinder and Yik Yak. Can you tell the audience a little bit about that?
So Tinder is an online dating site that people use it mostly to just hook up with other people. You pick a radius of like how many miles you'd be willing to travel to reach a person, an age range, and you can make a little profile about some things that you like, and Tinder matches you up. And if you like the person, like their profile, you can swipe right and say yes, and then if they swipe right and say yes to you also, you can start talking, and you can meet up, but you never know who's actually on the other end of this. The picture is online, the person posted it, it can be from years ago, it can not even be them, and you don't know who you're meeting.
Actually, I heard a story on the radio the other day that these 5 guys shared the same Tinder profile. Did you hear the story?
No, but
That
this would be
happens.
something that would happen.
But
yeah.
what they actually did was they put a picture of a puppy up on the profile. And women were responding. And then it's so devaluing and degrading because the 5 men would then look at this woman and choose which one of the 5 men wanted to hook up with this woman. And
I mean, that's what Tinder is.
Right.
You look at a profile, you look at their picture, and you're like, basically, it's are you hot, are you not? And that's what Tinder is. So no, it's degrading and it's also dangerous because you don't know who's on the other side of that profile.
And how about Yik Yak?
Yik Yak, it's mostly for anonymous tips
Comments.
and comments. Yes, just in your vicinity. I think it's a 10-mile radius, but people have been using it I'm lonely tonight, who wants to hook up? And people respond, and they make plans to meet up on through Yik Yak. It's completely anonymous. You don't see a picture, you don't see anything. You don't know anything about this person. You don't know who they could be. You don't know where they could be. They could just drive to your campus. It's very dangerous to find people to hook up with through that, especially because it's so anonymous. You have no idea who they are.
Right. And then once again, talking about these pictures, I wanted to just mention that we were talking about being vulnerable and maybe putting yourself in that situation. Going back to when we were talking about taking pictures, if you take a picture with, let's say, a boyfriend or a girlfriend, of course, you're at your most vulnerable. You've told that person your secrets. You think that person would never hurt you or harm you. But oftentimes what ends up happening is they become a form of blackmail. And you might either have to go further sexually with that person because now they have this picture of you, or I can't imagine do what else. So it's a very dangerous, slippery slope. Next, we are going to talk about how to stay safe on social media and steps to do. And I'm proud to say that my daughter gave me a lot of those tips, which I'm sure you learned through experience, through friends, through your time in college. And so we're going to talk about that when we come back. We're also going to talk about consent and safety planning on college campuses. See you in a moment.
Is income-based. For more information, call People Inc. Senior Living at 817-9090.
Looking for a cooking oil with a light flavor and reduced absorption so food preserves its natural flavor? One with a high smoke point for stir-frying, sautéing, grilling, and baking? Then choose all-natural Pompeian 100% grapeseed oil, imported from France. Grapes have been a key ingredient of the healthy Mediterranean diet for years. Pompeian 100% grapeseed oil is the chef's choice for high-heat cooking, grilling, stir-frying, sautéing, or even deep frying. And Pompeian 100% grapeseed oil is great for baking too, because its delicate taste does not overwhelm the flavor of cakes, cookies, and other favorite recipes. A key traditional ingredient of the Mediterranean, grapeseed oil is a rich source of vitamin E antioxidant and naturally gluten-free. Buy imported Pompeian 100% grapeseed oil today and find great recipes at Pompeian.com.
Wait, don't let this happen to you. At Jan Fence, we're family owned and operated for over 50 years, providing a wide choice of fencing. Why wait online at the big box store? Just call Jan Fence. Ask about our Easy Fence to Go products by Active Yards, the first truly do-it-yourself fence product.
At Jan Fence, we always do what we say. Come see us today.
Step into an extraordinary world that will excite your senses. Experience our delectable Mughlai cuisine and the magic of tandoori savoir-faire. Let our international award-winning team delight you with a taste of heaven. Enjoy our mouth-watering flavors and our unique flair for excellence. Savor the elegance of fine dining and catering. Shazam Restaurant. Indulge your taste buds.
Welcome back to Love Shouldn't Hurt. I'm here with my guest, Jacqueline Platt, and we're talking about unique circumstances with abuse and how to be safe on college campuses. So before we go to the safety on college campus, I want to talk more about social media and talk about ways we can keep ourselves safe through social media. Do you have any suggestions?
Definitely making your profiles private. There's a settings on Facebook, on Twitter, that people can't search you.
Mm-hmm.
Also, not giving away your passcodes or using the same ones over and over again. Make sure you change it up, because if one person finds out your one passcode, they can get into any social media.
And also making them not obvious. We had a client who was understandably concerned about her abuser finding her whereabouts. So by knowing her name, we were able to figure out her email address, and we were able to, maybe within 3 guesses, find out her password from knowing just a little bit of information about her. So also don't make them obvious. Make them something that you would never think of before. Like maybe your favorite designer, clothing designer, or one of your high school teachers.
Right.
You know, so that's also important. And changing them up, I think you said that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. And then also just one more thing I'd like to add is, if you are being stalked or if you have an abuser who you're trying to avoid, don't answer your phone if you don't know the number. So be aware of that. Take the time to look at the number. And if you're not sure how to block a number, I'm sure you can go to campus technology and
Or just knock on your neighbor's door. People
Right.
are very good with technology, especially if you find like a neighbor who wants to go into computer science or
that's great. That's a great
anybody,
idea.
really.
And they'll tell you how to do all that
Yeah,
stuff.
definitely. College campuses, because of everybody's different interests, there's such a wide range of people who you can go to for these issues.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So talking about being safe on campus, avoid dark areas.
Definitely.
Now, what I'm a little torn about is, I was telling Keith this, when Jacqueline first went to college, I immediately bought her mace.
Yes.
But recently, people in the domestic abuse community told me that that actually could be a danger. Because if someone is overpowering you and can physically overpower you and you have the mace, they can turn that on you and use it on you. So they suggested the best thing is to really know basic self-defense, to have something that makes noise like a whistle, even though my daughter doesn't want to carry that, and to just run and avoid the situation.
Mm.
And that's really the best thing. Also, always to not be alone.
Right.
Try to stay in lit areas. What else would you suggest?
Well, with the mace, I personally, if I feel unsafe or if it's dark and I'm not comfortable, I will have it in my hand ready to go. So if somebody does jump out, they don't even have the chance to overpower me. It's just ready.
Right.
I also, I was in class until 8 o'clock at night last semester, and I had swimming at 8:30. The building was like right down the street, but it was a very dark street, and it was not paved, it was just down the street. I would always make my guy friend walk me, and then he would catch a bus from the gym. So always make sure you have not only somebody that travel in groups, but somebody who you know is strong and you trust and you can go to if you need help.
Right, and it's like It's kind of common sense with, they say, how's the best way your house is safe? Well, if you have a dog, the robber is going to see your house and go to a different house because they're not going to want to be bothered. If they see alarm systems or an alarm sign, they're not going to go to your house, you're going to go to the next house.
They're
So
not
it's
even going to bother with you.
right,
Yeah.
so it's the same thing. If you're walking with another man or if you're walking with a couple of girls versus seeing somebody who's walking alone, that's who they're going to pick.
Definitely.
Right, I agree. Also, you were telling me, so my naivete, I said to my daughter, well, in addition to the fact that you never want to leave your drink because we know that someone can drop a drug in your drink, you might want to only drink water or soda at a party if you want to really keep your wits about you, because alcohol, where was my statistic? 75% of sexual assaults happen with alcohol. So, of course, if you want to keep your wits about you, you don't drink, which my daughter laughed at me. So why don't you explain to the audience why you thought that was funny?
Because at no party will there ever be soda and water for you. It's going to be vodka mixed drinks, shots, and beer. Frat parties do not provide soda or water. So if you want to be extremely safe and you want to drink, you can bring your own bottle. They don't stop you, they don't throw it out. It's less money for them. So frats should encourage you to bring your own. Also, if you want to stay sober, bring your own water bottle, bring your own bottle of Pepsi. Nobody will know it's water or soda if you don't want people to know that you're not drinking, but it's safer if you're worried about what they could slip in your drink.
Right, so that's a good solution. Also, there's hotlines, as we talked about, on campus. And Jacqueline was telling me that campus police are definitely quicker to respond than 911.
Yeah, campus police are there already. They're patrolling around probably where the parties are going to be and where you're going to be in your dorm. So instead of calling 911, get your campus security number, put it on speed dial, make sure you have that because they will be the ones that respond first.
And then we talked about the caps.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if something happened to you and you want to talk to someone about it, you can go to the health center.
Yeah.
And also, I have a great resource. It's from Love is Respect. You can text 22522, and all you have to do is write the words "love is," and someone will respond to you right away, texting, if you don't feel like you can talk to somebody. It doesn't have to be about you, it could be about a friend, and you could get really great advice, and then they will tell you to make sure that you erase the text so that nobody will see it when it's done. Of course, if you are in a local area, you can call Project Sarah with Jewish Family and Children's Service at 856-424-1333. What makes us unique is if you ask for Sarah, anybody who answers the phone will know it's about abuse, and you won't have to tell your story over and over again. They will put you right into a case manager who will be able to talk to you. And you don't have to be Jewish to call Jewish Federation. So we're open to the entire community. So that's also good. Creating a support system, very important.
Definitely find the friends that you can trust, have your RA, get to know your RA because they can definitely help you in any situation. Have professors that are there for you if you need help with, if you're falling behind in school because of personal situations.
Can you explain to the audience, if they're not familiar with college yet, what an RA is?
An RA is a resident assistant. There's one on each floor in the dorms. They live with you, they live on the same floor as you, and they're usually older than you, so they have more know-how, they know how the systems work. They're trained specifically, especially at Rutgers, they're very well trained to handle all different kinds of situations and have all the information that you need.
And Jacqueline was telling me that resident assistants do have to report to the college if there is a sexual assault, or what were you saying about drinking?
If your residence assistant catches you drinking, if they catch you doing drugs, they will have to report it to the school. I mean, usually they are very good about trying to make sure you don't get in trouble. But if you really need the help, if you tell them, they will report it. Even if they know the person who you're having a complaint about and they like them, they have no choice but to report it.
But reporting it to camp is different than reporting it to the police. So just so you're aware that abuse and sexual assault is not a mandated reporting issue unless it's involving someone underage, unless it's assault of a minor. So if you feel like you want to report it and you can confide in someone, know that you will have the control over deciding whether or not the police are called. So that's very important to know, because the reason why we keep it not mandated to be reported is because if it was mandated, a lot of people wouldn't come forward and get the help they need. So we want to keep that open. And then you were telling me how you lock your door and what you do at night.
Yeah, okay, so my roommate isn't there a lot, and I do get nervous because there are people who are drunk, and when you're drunk or you're under the influence of drugs, you do things that you wouldn't normally, well, hopefully wouldn't normally do. So I lock my door and I do the deadbolt also. I keep my lights on sometimes if I'm in my room alone, just so people who can see my can see my room from the streets, think that there's something going on in there instead of just like nobody's home, nobody's there. So I definitely do that.
That's great. And then we also want to talk about emotional safety. So you want to keep yourself safe emotionally. If you find yourself in a situation where maybe you've met someone, you're interested with someone on campus, and they want you all to themselves, they discourage you from joining any kind of groups, and you feel yourself becoming isolated, that is a red flag. So isolation, I always tell my kids, is the abuser's greatest tool, because then you feel like you can't go to your friends, you can't go maybe to your professors, maybe you've picked fights with these people to protect your abuser, and then you feel like you're embarrassed or feel guilty and can't come forward. So just know that although you might be feeling these things, if you make yourself vulnerable and reach out to a support system, more than likely you will find someone who will be there to help you and support you and get you through that bad time. Also, it's great, join organizations.
I definitely think it's very easy to fall into an isolated area because college is huge comparatively to high school, where you have like your family who always sees you every day and then the specific teachers that always see you. College is gigantic. You want to make sure you don't get lost in the mix, especially if something like this is happening to you. You want to be able to join clubs, get out there, and make sure you have that support system.
Plus, it gives you great self-confidence.
Right.
And it gives you a broader peer support group. Mm-hmm. So hopefully you will find people that you can relate to and support. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being a guest. And I feel confident that you will be safe on college campuses. But anything can happen to anyone at any time, right, no matter how safe you are. And the most important thing is to know that if you find yourself in a bad situation, not to blame yourself, that it's not your fault, and that you're not alone, and to ask for help. All right. So thank you so much for watching Love Shouldn't Hurt, and we will see you next time.
Here, we have an attractive orange and a distinguished apple. The two similar, but opposites. Theory, a wingman is needed, or perhaps a wing lemon. A friend to the orange and an acquaintance to the apple, the lemon brings the two opposites together. See, with a little fresh thinking, the universe can be surprisingly smooth.
When we make Beyond Natural dry dog and cat foods, we start with real meat as the first ingredient. We leave out corn, wheat, and soy. And we own where our dry food is made. 100%. Can other brands say all that? For nutrition you can trust and your pet will enjoy. Does your food go beyond? Learn more at purinabeyond.com.
Fitzpatrick's. Deli dine for breakfast and lunch. And at night, gourmet dine for dinner with entrees and specialty sandwiches including certified black Angus cuts of beef and wild-caught seafood, plus catering options for specialty events. Since 1989, Fitzpatrick's, your hometown place with upscale tastes.
Apple Ridge is about freedom. Apple Ridge is about community. Apple Ridge is about home. Apple Ridge, everything you want, more than you expect. Welcome to your new neighborhood. Apple Ridge Senior Living. Enjoy a maintenance-free, affordable luxury lifestyle today. Visit appleridgeseniorliving.com and find out more about the Apple Ridge experience.
Here, we have an attractive orange and a distinguished apple. The two similar, but opposites. Theory, a wingman is needed. Or perhaps, a wing lemon. A friend to the orange and an acquaintance to the apple, the lemon brings the two opposites together. See, with a little fresh thinking, the universe